What's up, guys? We are starting today with the low back, mid back, and core practice, week 2 of Foundation to Freedom. So we're actually going to be doing this practice lying down on your back. So go ahead and maybe grab a blanket and set out a mat or somewhere that you have a little bit of space to lie down, and then take your time getting there. Let's get started. Okay, so today we're actually going to start in what I call as constructive rest pose. So constructive rest pose is when the knees are bent, the feet are out towards the edge of your mat or just a little bit wider than your hips, and then your knees draw towards each other. And for a lot of people, when you lie down like this, it can feel really good and spacious for your low back. So just notice if that's true for you. Again, it's not true for everyone. And then just notice if it would actually maybe feel better to extend your legs. So extending our legs for a lot of people can actually put, depending on your body and your spine, can put a lot of kind of undue pressure on your low back specifically. So for those of you that it doesn't feel good to lie all the way down, that's probably why. What I recommend, if you like to lie down, or even if lying in bed bothers you, bringing a bolster or a rolled up blanket underneath the knees might feel nice. So either way, you're going to either extend your legs all the way, or you'll be in constructive rest pose. And then just bring either your hands out to the side or one hand on the belly, one on your chest, and just take a few long, slow, deep breaths here. And as you come onto your mat today, just take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice first mentally. Notice how you feel emotionally. And just being curious rather than judgmental or needing it to be a certain way, because we know there's always ebbs and flows. And then notice how you feel physically, and just take a moment to scan your body, working from your head, the top of your head, all the way down to your toes. And I'll kind of guide you into a little body scan here. So beginning to notice the back of your head and letting your head just melt down, getting heavier. And notice if it feels like your chin is really reaching up towards the ceiling, and could you just hug your chin slightly in towards the chest so the back of your neck is a little bit longer. And then move your awareness down to your shoulders, your upper back. You might notice one side of your body further touching the ground than the other. It's really common. Notice your arms, your hands, even your fingers, and let them soften a little bit more. And then guide your awareness from your upper back down your mid back. And then sense your low back. And notice if wherever you're at in lying down or this constructive rest pose, notice if your low back is touching the floor. And usually there's a little bit of an arch in the low back, so it won't necessarily touch the floor compared to the mid back, but just notice. See if you can kind of soften just a little bit more into the ground beneath you. Notice your low back moving into the hips. Let your hips, the center hip, your left hip, your right hip get heavier. And guide the awareness down the legs till you reach the feet and the toes. And then just take another big inhale through your nose. Fill the belly, fill the sides of your ribs, and then guide the breath to fill all the way up towards your chest or your shoulders, your collarbones. And then as you exhale, let the exhale soften. So as you exhale, the chest softens, your ribs kind of soften and knit in, and the belly draws back towards the spine. So a long, full inhale. A long, slow exhale. And sometimes it's easier to breathe deeply and slow, and sometimes it's more challenging. So noticing just where you're at right now. And keep this going. Long inhale through the nose or gently parted lips. And long exhale through the nose or gently parted lips. And we talked last week about the importance of breathing slowly so we become more aware of our body and we move into a more relaxed state, so that when we stretch and we move our body, we're actually really acutely aware of what's happening and where limitations are and where we can go further. Take 3 more breaths here. Start to fill the areas that feel a little bit tighter. And if you're new to this whole breathing and slowing down thing, and you're sitting there wondering if you're just always going to be bad at it, or this is slow and annoying, just let yourself be a little more patient and present to the breath. So take another inhale. And this time as you exhale, let the breath go out the nose, but start to feel the belly hug up and in towards your spine as you exhale. And then inhale, let that soften as you fill up. 2 more times like that. Exhale, hug the low belly up and in towards the spine. Inhale, fill that up, soften. And exhale again, hug the belly up and in. And inhale. And the biggest thing, as I shared before, is our low back needs to be supported by the strength of our core, not the 6-pack abs, but just using the breath. You can probably feel the engagement of your core. So now we'll slowly hug one knee in towards the chest, then the other. If it feels good, rock side to side. Your hands can either be behind to the thighs or in front of the shins. And maybe just do small circles along your sacrum or your hips. And then the other way. Good. And then come back to neutral. Bring your hands behind the thighs. And let's actually either hands behind the thighs or hands onto your knees so your fingers face the toes. And just let your lower legs, your feet relax here. Let your elbows, your shoulders, and even the back of your head relax. We're going to do one called knee to chest pose. This is really good, just gentle stretching the low back and also engaging the core. So next, inhale, push the knees away from your chest, extend your arms. Exhale, hug the belly towards the spine as you draw your knees slowly towards the chest. So inhale, push the knees away from the chest, arms extend, but stay on the legs. Good. Exhale, hug the belly towards the spine, the knees draw towards the chest. 2 more times. Now, this movement is clearly pretty easy and straightforward, but see if you can slow down the movement and slow down the breath so it's really intentional and you really feel the belly hug towards the spine as you draw the knees in. We're going to add on here. As you inhale, push the knees away from the chest, arms extend. Exhale, move the knees apart and all the way back in towards the chest. So they kind of go in a semicircle. So inhale again, knees together, they move away from the chest. Exhale, knees apart, all the way back in. So letting the inner thighs soften as you move the knees apart. Good, now we'll switch the direction. So the inhale, push the knees apart, away from the chest. Exhale, feel the belly hug towards the spine as you bring the knees back in. The inner thighs tend to get quite tight and can actually lead to low back pain with the hip flexors, and I'll get into that later. All right, next exhale, hug the knees back in. Keep your right knee in towards the chest. Just bring your left foot to the floor. Good. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh, and then press your leg into your hand so your arms extend. Inhale, extend your right leg. And when I say extend the right leg, extend-ish the right leg. So bend it as much as you need to feel comfortable. And you most likely will feel a stretch in the back of the legs, perhaps the hamstring, perhaps your hips. Spread your toes and draw the toes back towards you so you're flexing the ankle and the heel presses up towards the ceiling. Big inhale here. Big exhale. Good, now slowly roll the ankle and see if you can roll it super slowly. Notice the areas that might feel tighter or more restrictive. And as I shared in the video before this, and let's switch directions here of your roll. The hamstrings, the backs of our legs, when they get really tight, they can actually pull on the muscles of the back and the vertebrae, causing or worsening low back pain. That's one of the most common things I address with clients. Now, come back to neutral, so the heel reaches up, the toes spread, point back towards you. Another big breath in. And if you're feeling like this is a lot, bend your knees a little bit more, or your knee a little bit more, and that might decrease the stretch a little bit. Good. Now we're going to add some movement. So as you exhale, just bend that right knee and hug it back in towards the chest. So I'm going to offer moving the arms as well. If it doesn't feel good or just doesn't feel good for you today, you can just do the leg here, okay? So inhale, the leg extends, the heel reaches up, maybe your arms reach overhead to or towards the floor behind you. Exhale, arms back by the side, belly towards spine, slowly hug that right knee in. 2 more times. Inhale, legs slowly extend, reaching the arms back behind you. Exhale, leg comes in, arms by the side. 1 more time. And exhale. And then plant that right foot down, pause, and just notice how that feels. For me, it almost feels like I'm lopsided now, like my hips and my whole right side is just a little bit heavier. Notice how that feels for you. I feel it all the way to like my toes too. On your next exhale, hug that left knee in. Interlace your hands behind the left thigh, and then press your thigh into your hands and extend that left leg. Whew. Notice if this side's different than the other. As you spread your toes and press the heel towards the ceiling, toes back towards you. Big breath. And what could you relax here as you exhale? And then slowly roll the ankle in one direction. I'm already noticing this side is quite a bit tighter than the other side for me. You might have noticed the opposite. And just rolling slowly and mindfully, so you're going to the outer limits of your roll here. And then switch directions. You might spread the toes a little bit as you do this. Good, and then come back to neutral again. So the toes spread, they point back towards you. Even as much as you can, the pinky toe points back towards you, and it never wants to. And big breath in, big breath out. And every exhale you take, what could you relax just a little bit more to be here with more ease? And then we'll do that movement on the breath here. So as you exhale, keep the toes spread, the ankle flex, hug the knee towards the chest. If you want, you'll add the arms. If not, just keep them by the side. Inhale, the leg extends, maybe the arms reach up. Exhale, slowly bend the knee, hug the knee towards the chest, belly towards spine, arms by the side. 2 more times. This is a nice little practice you can do in bed too for part of it before you get up. So next time you bring the knee in towards the chest, hug your right knee in and maybe rock side to side here. Bring your hands behind the thighs and extend both legs. Roll the ankles 1 more time. Point and flex the foot. Good. And then go ahead and bend the knees. Hug the knees back in and bring the feet to the floor. So we'll prepare for a bridge pose here. Bring the heels so it feels like they're right in front of your hip bones or your sit bones, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is that they'll be parallel to each other, your feet, and not out towards the edge of your mat, your hips, but right where the hip bone is on your pelvis. And then again, heels, if they can be, directly under the knees. If you have something going on with the knees, they're tender, just move them away from your body as much as feels comfortable. So again, toes spread, feet are parallel, heels in front of your sit bones, spread the toes nice and wide. And then see if you can imagine your awareness drifting into your feet. And find the center part of your heel. So not the inner heel, not the outer heel, but the center. And then can you bring your awareness to your big toe mound, like right behind your toe? And then the little toe mound. And then can you imagine pressing all 3 of those spots down? And you probably notice like, wow, I feel like my foot, my leg, a little bit of engagement. So we're going to start really simple before we come into a bridge pose. So as you inhale, just stay here. Fill all the way up. As you exhale, hug your belly towards the spine, and without moving the legs, imagine hugging your inner thighs towards each other. You probably feel your butt engage a little bit. As long as it doesn't send any sciatica, any pain down your legs, we'll do that. So inhale now. Inhale, just spread the toes, press the feet evenly down. Exhale, hug the belly towards the spine. Hug your inner thighs towards each other again without moving the legs really. Inhale one more time, spread your toes, press the feet evenly down. Exhale, hug the inner thighs towards each other, belly towards spine. This is one of the most simple ways to engage our core and our legs to support our spine. So from here, inhale, spread the toes, press the feet evenly down. As you exhale, hug the belly towards the spine, and just slightly, we're going to do a pelvic tilt. So belly hugs towards the spine, and it's almost like the butt and the tailbone lift a little off the floor. And then as you inhale, you're going to arch the back, so doing the opposite. So the belly actually lifts up, and if you brought your hand underneath your back, you'd have a little space there. We'll do that 2 more times. So as you exhale, hug the belly in, round the back without necessarily lifting the hips, but you feel the butt a little bit off the floor. And then inhale, arch the back. Sometimes it doesn't feel good in everyone's body to do the extreme variation, so you might do it really, really gently. Okay, and then come back to what feels like neutral. So not arching, not completely rounding, but neutral spine. Take an inhale, spread your toes nice and wide. Arms are out by the side. And as you exhale, hug the belly in. Imagine inner thighs hug towards each other. Begin to round the back slowly, as if you could lift vertebrae by vertebrae. Come up as high as feels comfortable. Take an inhale when the hips are lifted. Spread the toes. Press the feet evenly down. Now as you exhale, hug the belly towards the spine. Lower the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. So top of the spine all the way down to the hips. Take an inhale here, spread the toes, press the feet down. We'll do this 2 more times. Exhale, hug the belly in. Inner thighs hug towards each other, lift the hips, the low back, maybe the mid back, then the upper back. Inhale here, press the feet evenly down as you spread the toes. And exhale, hug the belly towards the spine, inner thighs towards each other, slowly lower down. 1 more time like that. Inhale, spread the toes, press the feet down. Exhale, hug the belly, and you can probably feel the engagement of your core as you lift up. And only lift up as high as feel comfortable. Yours might look different than mine, that's okay. On your next exhale, hug the belly in, lower down. Beautiful. We'll add movement with the arms as long as that feels good. Inhale, sweep both arms overhead. Exhale, hug the legs towards each other, belly towards the spine, round and lift your hips. Inhale, imagine your fingers reach all the way back behind you. Your tailbone reaches to the backs of your knees, so long spine. Exhale, hug the belly in, arms stay overhead as you lower the spine all the way down. When you feel the hips reach down, you'll bring the arms back by the side. So if that's new for you, it gets easier. Inhale, spread the toes, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, keep the arms overhead as you hug the belly to the spine, inner thighs together, round and lift your hips, bridge pose. Inhale here, press the fingers back behind you, tailbone forward. Keep the arms overhead as you exhale and slowly lower vertebrae by vertebrae. When the hips are down, arms fall back by the side. And if in your body this doesn't feel quite good, or you want to stay with the pelvic tilts we did first, do that. 1 more time. Inhale, arms. Reach all the way overhead. Exhale, hug the belly towards the spine, round and lift your hips. Inhale, fingertips reach back, tailbone reaches forward. Exhale, hug the belly in, round and lower. Bring the arms back by the side and just pause. Hands can be by the side or one hand on the belly and the chest, and just feel how that feels in your body. For me, it feels just way more spacious Take a big inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. From here, we're going to bring our legs into a 90-degree angle so that for the most part, your knees are going to be over your hips. You're going to bring your hands behind your thighs, at least to start, and lift your feet up so that, again, the legs are in a 90-degree angle. Toes point back towards your knees so the ankles are flexed. And if this feels like too much, again, hands will be behind the thighs, or lessen the degree so that your knees are a little bit more towards your chest. That'll be a little bit easier. The further away, it'll be harder. Okay, so if this feels like too much to take your hands away, you're going to keep them behind the thighs. If it feels safe in your body, bring the hands onto the thighs so your palms are at your thighs. Backs of the head, back of your head, and your shoulders pressed down. As you inhale, spread the fingers, press your hands into your legs, but you're going to press your legs back into your hands. Make sure that you feel like the low belly keeps pressing towards the spine and low back towards the floor. Okay, so 5 breaths here. Each inhale, hands press into legs, legs press into the hands. Good. Inhale and exhale slowly. Hands into legs, legs into hands. Your legs might be shaking, your belly might be shaking. If you ever need to come down, you'll listen to that. Good. One more big breath in. Big breath out. Good. Last inhale to stay. And then exhale, hug your knees towards the chest. Yes. Good. Bring your feet to the floor. Okay, we're going to come into a hip opener here. So bring your left foot towards the right thigh. Good. And we're going to come into a twist after in this figure 4. So if you don't have a blanket or a pillow or something, if you could put something over on the right side, that might feel nice so that when you do twist, we're not going there yet, you'll have some support there. Okay, again, we'll bend our left leg and bring our left foot across our right thigh. Flex your left ankle so the toes point back towards your knee. That protects your knee. You'll either stay like this if you feel a stretch on somewhere on the back of that left hip, or you could lift your right leg, bring your hands and interlace your hands behind the right thigh. And then pause, and you'll probably notice a stretch on the back side of your left hip, or underside, could be the side of it. If you want more, hands come and interlace in front of the shin. Now, if you are interlacing your hands behind the thighs, notice if you're hiking the head up or lifting the chin up, or you're rounding the shoulders a lot. And could you just relax the upper body and deepen your breath here? And imagine each inhale moving to the area around your left hip. And each exhale you're going to soften something. Inhale, creating space in your left hip. Exhale, letting go. Again, inhale. And exhale. And from here, you might just do small circles with your right knee, as if your right knee had like a pen on top of it and you were drawing circles on the ceiling. And the slower that you go with these circles, you might notice either a different area that gets a stretch or maybe a different intensity. And then notice if you go the other way, does that change anything? Every exhale, relaxing. Good. From here, we're going to come into that twist I mentioned. So if you have the space, the arms will reach out wide or bend at the elbow into cactus. And you'll keep the legs in figure 4. Maybe you'll bring that right foot down if you lifted it, but we'll let the legs come over to the right so that your outer right leg and your left foot either come to the floor, or if they don't reach the floor, come to a prop underneath. So a blanket, a towel you could use, a pillow. And then if you want more stretch, you'll bring the legs further up towards your right shoulder. There we go. And then if it feels good, gaze towards the left. Big inhale, big exhale. 2 more breaths into this left side body. One more inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Come back to center. Release the left foot, adjust your hips. Notice how that feels, all left side, the right side. And we'll switch sides. So right foot to left thigh when you're ready. Flex your right ankle so the toes point back towards the knee. Either stay here or lift the left foot, bring your hands and interlace them behind the left thigh. Relax the shoulders, the back of your head. And as I shared in the video prior, our hips, the outer hips, tend to get super tight and can actually pull on the muscles of the low back, causing or worsening low back pain, just like the hamstrings. So this is a super important area to stretch, especially as we, as hygienists, we sit so much that these areas just naturally get tight. Now I'll do later on in the program, I'll do a short little series of what we can do in a chair for stretching, and this will be a part of it, just so you can do it at work too, or after work or whatever. And now you might do the small circles with your left knee. And they might start really small and gentle. You might switch directions. Long breaths. And now we'll come into the twist on this side. So either your left leg will be lifted or you'll bring the left foot down. Arms are out into a T or bent at the elbow, and then let the legs drop over towards the left. So either they come to the floor or prop beneath you. And then if it feels good in your body, gaze in the opposite direction. Long, deep breaths. If you want more stretch, you can guide the legs further up towards your left shoulder. If not, just straight there. Twists are really good, especially when oftentimes as hygienists, we're kind of twisted towards one side, as you know, so twists just help to counterbalance the tension we hold along the spine. 2 more big breaths. 2 more big breaths, especially into the right side of your body here. Long, slow exhale. Last inhale. And long exhale. Inhale, bring the legs back to center. Go ahead and slowly unwind. Notice how that feels. And then we'll come into a happy baby. So hug your knees towards your chest. And as we finish up, bring your hands and start behind your thighs. Move the knees apart. And then keep the knees bent. Lift your feet up towards the ceiling. And it might feel good here to just rock side to side. It might feel good to wrap your hands and bring them up towards your shins and rock side to side. You could extend one leg and then the other. The kind of full variation, which we definitely don't need to get to if it doesn't feel good, is hands come up towards the feet. But usually when we do that, we end up rounding up here. So I like to just have my hands here and rock side to side, get into the hips a little bit if this feels good. And maybe rocking doesn't feel good, that's okay. Good. And then just lift your feet up as comfortably as you can towards the ceiling. Take a big inhale, roll the ankles one way and roll them the other way. Then bend your knees, bring your feet back to the floor. Come back into constructive rest pose, where the feet are out towards the edge of your mat, your knees draw towards each other. And just notice how your body feels right now. Take 5 long breaths by yourself. Long, full inhale. And invite your deepest breaths in that you've taken yet. All right, guys, that's it for today. Again, next month we'll be building quite a bit on the low back area. So come back to this as much as you want to, and notice what areas feel or what movements feel really, really good. And if there's something that doesn't feel good, let me know. Bye, guys.